Hi guys, welcome back for another video. This is very exciting. This is the first ever episode of the Sunday Night Knife Fight. So in this episode, we're comparing two different knives, sometimes from the same maker, other times of different makers and similar designs. Today we are looking at the Adventuresworn Guide versus the Adventuresworn Guide. While they are the same knife, there are many differences between them. This bottom one here is Scandi ground, 01 tool steel, which we're not really comparing the steels today, 1/8 inch thick with crazy, weird, awesome handles. And then this top one is my personal guide, which is 5/32. It is CPM 3V and convex ground. The main comparison of this video is going to be the Scandi versus convex. In this blade shape, which one is better? So let's go ahead and take these out and put them to the test. First up, everybody's favorite test, batoning. We have a sassafras log here that I've just split in half already. I figured it wasn't fair to have one of these split the full log. So let's take our Scandi ground 1/8 inch guide and we'll split this into 4 pieces. Okay, so it's doing all right. Not bad. You know, it does the job. Let's take our other half. And we will grab the 5/32 convex ground. Oh, okay. It's doing better. It's thicker though. So we pretty much already knew this is going to do better. It's done. Winner of this round, definitely the convex ground guide. But it's thicker on the spine, so it's kind of an unfair battle. Let's move on. Let's do something else. Alright. Next is going to be wrist flick chopping. Move that out of my way a little bit. So we'll back up here on the handle and we'll just do some flicks, see if we can chop through this. So we'll hold this in place and we'll just... This is green maple. Ooh, right through a knot too. Pretty much through. So, not bad. Same piece, just a little bit further down. Ooh, man. Close call, really, honestly, in my opinion. This felt like it definitely sunk in and held onto the wood more. This just felt, I don't know, a little bit lighter, a little bit faster, so pretty much a tie, I think, in my opinion anyway. They both did a good job. Alright, let's reposition and we'll test the spines. Alright, I think I already know what's going to win here, but I'll give it a shot. This is the convex. Okay. This is the Scandi. So, I already felt these spines, and I knew that this one was sharper, and it's performing a little bit better. But what do you expect? It's thinner. This is a polished, polished flats or ground flats. This is a little bit of heat treat finish left on these flats, so it's not as sharp. It still does the job, but I feel like this one, the 1/8, is sharper. So I'm gonna give that one. I'm gonna give the 1/8 a little bit of an edge there. Let's do. This looks like a good piece to notch on. Actually, I have some other pieces. We'll strip some bark, and we'll do some notches. Two pieces of maple, about the same diameter. We're gonna see. Yeah, we'll go with the convex first. Just basically how this kind of peels bark off. This is, I think, it's either going to be dry or it's going to be semi-green. So it's doing a right job. And that's my thing about convexes. Sometimes they just don't get under this bark as well. And see, when it comes to dry bark, it's not really doing it. Let me grab let me grab the Scandi crown. This around. It's doing about the same. Slicing it just a bit deeper and peeling off just a little bit more wood. And it's doing a little bit better of a job. This is pretty tough stuff to try to work through. We'll try a few different grips here. Let me clean off this end. So the one thing about the 1/8 inch Scandi is because of that sharper spine and that thinner stock, it bites into your thumb more. Especially when using, well, not especially, when using thumb assist. So not bad. Flip this around, switch over to the convex, clean all the bark off the end. I feel like this just, even though it's thicker stock, it just slices better. Apologize for the barking in the background. Let's just see. It doesn't bite as well. Kind of like hangs in there. But there you go. It's all about figuring out those angles, knowing what the knife is good for, what it's going to be suited for. A little bit slower, because again it doesn't bite as well. We'll try on, since we'll save that piece for another test, we'll try a couple other grips here. Cutting towards yourself. Which I actually like this for cutting towards yourself, but the sweep up here at the top isn't necessarily as good. You kind of have to do a little bit of a push assist when you're up here. But you're back here, you can do a good amount of work with the knife. Let's get the Scandi up here. Ooh, and this just dives in and hogs off material. This is really nice. Feels like you're working really fast. You can change your angle. Let's get some of this bark off. Really get into the wood. Yeah, it takes off bigger hunks. And the same thing with up front. It's going to feel the same. It actually feels more awkward up here, more like a scooping motion with the Scandi. If I back up, awesome. And we'll do reverse grip really quick with this. Or chest lever, sorry. So, able to hog off a bit of material. Flip this around, get this aside. Again, it's not going to be as fast, but it's still pretty awesome. There we go. And that's just because it's thicker stock. Yeah, I'll tell you this, they're pretty much equals. That's what it is. Let's get into a pot hook notch and see how that goes. Alright, we're going to do a pot hook notch with this other piece of maple. This stuff is pretty dry. Put our one knife over there. Start somewhere around here. We're going to use the baton for this process. It's 5 hits. Good amount of bite. Silence. Five hits. Bit. There we go. That notch kind of popped out. That was a lot of bark. Let me set this in on this side and see if I can pop that notch out. There we go. A bit. There. So, great start already to that pot hook notch. Ooh, that does not want to go in there. There we go. I would use green for this normally, but we're trying to really test these knives. I got a nice layer of bark. I didn't realize actually how thick the bark was on this. So not bad. Just kind of gives you an idea. And I actually like this because I can kind of peel and then lift with this knife to pop some more of those chips out. So I'm not going to go much further than that. That just kind of gives me an idea of what it would do on dry wood. Turn it over. Get the Scandi to go. And we'll try that. Maybe, yeah, let's try this on green as well. Let's go right here. We'll do the same amount of hits. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's almost the full depth of that grind. Ooh, that came out a lot easier. That did not, it wasn't as tight in there. Right about there. 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, about the full height of that grind. Let's see if we can. No, it just popped out. It didn't actually pop that notch. Let's see if I can set this in here and kind of pop that notch out. This is actually, I think, one of the first Adventure Sworn knives that didn't do this. Just didn't pop the notch. But this should have a lot easier time. Yeah, this is feeling really good. Carving in here. The convex definitely had more trouble with this. Getting in there and lifting up that wood felt much more difficult. One of the things you got to think about, though, is intended use too for the knife. The guide is kind of a multi-purpose hunting, fishing, maybe not fishing, hunting knife. Kind of, sort of ish a one-tool option. So it might not be in your best interest to have it in Scandi. Oh man, does that feel good though? Look at that amount of wood I'm just clearing out of there. Let me grab a piece of green. branch will actually test the batoning ability, the straight through batoning ability. I don't have a good surface underneath this, so this might not work as well. Now, if you don't have a solid surface under this to baton straight through, it's a little bit more difficult. Let's try again. No. I'm going to move off to the edge. I don't know if it's going to be in frame. There we go. So batoning through worked. I know that this is going to carve into this really, really easily. It's not really going to be a challenge for this one. Let me try batoning through with the convex. Get the leg out of the way. Convex is definitely gets through that a lot easier. And I'm not going to say cleaner, probably about the same. So definitely when it comes to notching on dead dry stuff, that Scandi is excellent. Let me get in here real quick. This is green. Let's just see what the bite is like. I was going to carve a little 7 notch. This one just seems to like to work a little bit more in this area. There we go. Alright, and then, you know, I'll be honest with you guys, I thought in the beginning of this test that I was going to like the convex better, because I've done previous testing, but the Scandi's not bad. It just kind of kills your thumbs, that push assist, because it's a lot thinner stock. Yeah. They're pretty equal though, honestly. So let's move on to. So I know what you guys have been thinking. You know, all these tests are great up until now, but let's get to the stuff that we really care about. That is, can it feather? I gotta check this wood and see if it's decent. If not, I have another piece. So I'm just should be able to kind of hand baton through this. Maybe not. My fear is that it's a bit punky, but maybe I'm wrong. I think this is bass wood. So let's go ahead and peel that bark off too while we're here. The inner strands of basswood are really, really good for fire making, for firecraft. And one thing I wanted to test was, can I fluff up those fibers through the bark with the back of my knife? And it looks like I can. It's one thing I haven't tried before, and it looks like it does an insanely good job. I usually just fluff it by hand. Slice that off. I'll try it with this one too. Look at that. Did some flint and steel. Did a little friction fire going with that. Save that later for later. Split this down one more time. Right around that knot. There we go. Alright, so I've kind of already formed an opinion about this, but let's see. Let's see what happens. So the convex guide that we're using right here is my personal one. I've had a lot of time with this knife. My feelings are personally that the convex grind is a little thick on this knife. I've used another Adventure Sworn knife that has a really excellent convex grind on it. And it's kind of like a hybrid between a convex and kind of like I guess it would be more of a saber vex feeling to it. It could act like a Scandi and it could act like a convex, but this will generally produce very fine feathers for me. And then I don't quite like using the tip of the knife only because of my hand position, and it just doesn't slice down very well, so I tend to stick with just behind the belly, but this whole flat section here. And it works well. It does a good job. It does what it's supposed to do. It produces feathers. If I push straight down, I can get thicker feathers off of it. If I slice, I can get usually some curlier feathers. And I just broke through my feather stick. So it works. It's good. I like it. Honestly, I don't use feathers that much when I'm out. I'm trying to do firecraft, so I could, but I don't. I'll generally find other sources of tinder and small twigs and things like that. So let's move on to the Scandi guide. Same rules apply. I don't like going like this down, even though that is really nice now that I tried it. But I kind of like using the same section of the blade. This will produce usually a little bit wider feathers as it's kind of planing and flattening off. But for some reason I just don't like feathering as much with this knife. It just doesn't feel, I guess, as slicey. It just doesn't feel as smooth. And it's just the Scandi grind, honestly. I get a bit of what I call chatter in the feathers, where it's not smooth. It kind of looks like it bounces along. Let's try to get a flat spot. Yeah, down here when you push again, it produces some really nice feathers, some fatter feathers. Usually a little bit of a gentle touch. So the one thing I can tell you guys is that the handles on the guides, these are pretty much the same handles. I think mine might be a 5.5, 5.05, and this is a 4.05. The handles feel great. It's definitely one of the most comfortable handles on any knife I own. My favorite Adventure Sworn handle, my favorite knife handle. There we go, broke through. So I feel like I do more work with the Scandi guide, and a little bit slower work. One other thing I want to try real quick while we're here is let's do some fast feathers. Gently put that in there. To find the Scandi edge doesn't take very much, and this thing bites like crazy. So. I also want to try fast feathers with the convex. I like that I can kind of wedge this in here and just twist to break off feathers. Let's put the convex in here real quick. If I want a tongue. I can definitely go faster with this. It doesn't chew into the wood as much. I actually like this better. It's not producing any sort of what I would call like an overbite that Scandies can do and Scandivexes can do. And I could overbite if I want to. And still do that same twist motion. So, all in all, they're both great blades. It really depends on what you guys are looking for out of a knife. I always thought that I would, hands down prefer the Scandi over the convex, but they are both absolutely amazing blades, both with different purposes. Which one do I think performs better for me? The convex I have to lean towards, not because it's mine, but because I find it to be a little bit more versatile. It doesn't do everything perfectly, but it does more things well than the Scandi guide would do. Plus, I can use this probably a lot better for game prep and whatnot. So that's why I would lean more towards the convex guide over the Scandi guide. But that's just my opinion. I want to thank you for tuning in, and if you liked what you saw here, please comment, please like, please share, and if you want to see more videos like this, then please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.